All right, so I'm gonna try this again. Sorry, there's construction noise again, and it's really throwing me for a loop here. We're just gonna have to deal with what we've got today and go with it. Uh, we're gonna go in and look at Stellaris again today, and we're gonna look at some of the species today that they have, including what some modders have created. Um, and that'll be for Stargate, which is awesome because I love Stargate. This is just a group that I have created, and Foxarian Nation. It's not anything that I would use in a main game, but for my trial one, this is a nation that I created. I would make them less of a cheat race if I was to actually be playing without just testing out mods. So we're going to start out today with some of these other ones that people have created that I have taken a look at. So we've got the Own Confederacy. I actually think these guys look kind of cool. They remind me almost of Pirates of the Caribbean in terms of their look. Uh, so kind of amusing. Their ship appearance was not bad either in terms of what they are in use. And then of course we have the Ancients, which is Stargate, Atlantis, and much of Stargate. And I love that modders have created these Atlantean and Stargate creatures and creations, as they really do bring the game to life for those of us who are Stargate fans, and I am definitely a Stargate fan. And then we have the replicators, um, and they of course have the Gestalt consciousness, and yeah, their homeworld. I guess they could have done maybe a bit better on the background there, but you work with that. And then there's the Gould Empire, which is from the main Stargate series, and yeah, so they've done a pretty good job of creating them in here and bringing them into the game. They've got their proper description, of course, their desert world, because that's what we see in the original Stargate when they first encounter them. And then there is the Wraith hordes. I wish that they had actually found a bigger picture to put up here that would actually properly show the Wraith. But yeah, glad to have them in the game as well. Arctic world, but we see that Wraith are on many different types of worlds, and they feed off of course, any humanoid that they can. And then there's the Azerin, which again have that machine intelligence, and they were sought to create a weapon that would attack the Wraith and their DNA. And then there's the Lucian Alliance, and this is another one from there, and we can go up. Those guys are basically humanoid. Humans are kind of boring in most of these things. I like something that's a little bit different, a little bit more creative than just a regular humanoid. As if we're going to space, I like the alien looks. And there's another Gould here because people have created more than one of these guys. And then there's the Asgard again. Wish they'd done a bigger picture of the Asgards. And then oh yeah, of course we have the Free Jaffa Nation, which of course main Stargate again. Um, and then we get into some of the Toxoids. These guys here, they look kind of cool. They look like they're really good warriors, just by their look, how they're outfitted. So I really like the look that they gave these guys here, the Kabazan Seekers. Another one I kind of like the look of was these guys with their bird heads. Not sure with their arms how they get much done, but they're a toxoid species as well, and they do look kind of cool, so I appreciate that. And these guys here were interesting because they're in a tank, and they have machines around them to basically do all their work. The Zane enhanced civilization. So they were kind of interesting. I'm not going to go through every single one of the toxoids, as there's a lot of them. These guys are interesting as well. They almost remind me of a mutant version of the Star Wars. Oh shoot, my son would kill me. I just forgot their name. They were in the original Star Wars with Luke on his planet. Gee whiz, why am I forgetting that name? Anyway, and then we have the aquatic species. I really like these guys. Not a fan of their arms. I think they could have done a lot better with their arms, but in terms of their body and their head, I do think that they looked really, really interesting and were a cool creation. This one here was pretty cool as well. They grow off this like aquatic tree, and the creature is the buds that are coming off of them. And they are a collective consciousness, and that is the Steri entity. And then we have them again. Another one that looks, that's just someone created one with the same look. And then this is the Catan first hive. They aren't bad either. They almost remind me of just a blobfish in their look. And these guys, the Delca Nation, I thought they were pretty cool. My kids would think that they were cute in terms of their look. So that one's kind of interesting. These guys here are interesting as well. They're kind of the jellyfish head, and they remind me of the two Jamaican jellyfish off of the Shark's Tale movie. Haven't watched that. My kids are getting older, so I don't watch those movies that much anymore. But that's who they remind me of. I can picture their Jamaican voices as they are as they're speaking. Sadly, they don't speak that way in the game. I wish they did, because that would be kind of cool. And then we get into some Necroid species here, and there's the Chosen of Old Tiber. They look kind of cool. In terms of their look, they look like they're wearing a turban there as their headdress. And let's see another Necroid here. Oh, these ones here, I'm playing against these guys in my current game that I'm going through. They sound very, very creepy, any of the Necroids, which is perfectly fine, because that's what I would imagine some undead would sound like as they were going in. So I think they did a pretty good job with these guys and their ship set, making them dark. Definitely fit in perfectly. And then we have these guys here, which kind of have that hammerhead shark kind of look for their head, but like an undead version of a hammerhead shark almost. And you can tell they're going up and down. They kind of seem like they're floating almost. And that's waves of XL 709. This one here was another one that looked pretty cool in terms of their design. And then next we get into your lithoids. Lithoids, I'm not a big fan of the way the lithoids look, but we'll show a couple of them. These ones here are kind of cool. It's almost like they're holding these mechanical rocks within that have grown into them. And that's the Almer's space realm. These ones here weren't bad either. In terms of the way they look, it almost looks like they've got this open magma mouth. So that was not bad, and that's the Free Democracy of Teknal. Let's go with one more lithoid here. These guys here, Cardacan Caretakers. Their ship's kind of boring. But in terms of the way they look, they've kind of got the Reaper almost look to them, like a mechanized Reaper. And after the lithoids, we get into plantoids. These guys have some cool ones in terms of their look. These guys look like they could almost be like a Necroid. They're the Hallowed Letterin, and yeah, they almost look like they can be in that Necroid as well, but they are in the plantoid species. And then there's this one here, which is a floating plantoid. Um, the floating ones are kind of cool. I like the floating ones. Um, and I like the way they've got the ferns coming off the side. So they've done a really good job of creating this one and making this one here really come to life. Um, and there's another necroid that or plantoid I like. There's this one here that the color is different, and I like that they chose like this more pink, red, and red uh, type of a look, as it makes them stand out and pop just a little bit more. And their ship matches their color scheme, which is fun as well. And next we're gonna get into some fungoids. And again, there's tons of these creatures, so I'm sorry I'm not showing all of them. I do not have time to do all of them. There is so many. So there's this one here in fungoid. He almost looks like he could again fall into that plantoid look. So kind of a cross between the two, Ekporian army. But their ship set I like. I think it's very, very cool and very smooth and clean in their design. This one is interesting. It's a giant mushroom. The Panarian Union, and they are, yeah, just a giant mushroom, which I just found very, very amusing that they looked at a mushroom and said, we need to make an alien that looks like a mushroom, which definitely fits with the fungoids. They are a fungus, so it definitely fits. They did some really cool ones here. Han Solar Realm. Uh, kind of reminds me of like Han Solo off of Star Wars in terms of the name there. But cool design, very interesting, very creative. If Stellaris ever wants somebody to help design aliens, I would definitely love to do that, as I think it's kind of fun to go through and create these. And this is kind of a fungoid version of what looks like almost like a wolf or a Tasmanian devil. Probably more the Tasmanian devil, and they're called Tarm Reavers. So that was interesting. This one here is just, again, I don't know how they get anything done with their arms, but they just have this like death look to them, like like we're gonna kill you. The Holy Cog Wasters is what they are called. Molluscoid. They have some really cool molluscoids. Kind of hard to pick up between some of them, but this one here reminds me of the old ancient Greek myths. So Zarian gourmets, and I think that they look pretty cool. Just the way that they appear, like they might be guarding some great secrets of the depth. And then there's this one here again. This was similar to what we saw before with some of the aquatic ones, but this is a land version of it, and they live on Tomb Worlds. So yeah, it looks kind of cool. I like the color that they chose there. Again, it's very different. This one I got a kick out of. It's a snail. The old caravanners is what this really is reminiscent of, is those caravanners. And Kev Agricultural Union. But yeah, again, a snail. I don't picture a snail doing very well as an alien race. And then there's this one. This one looks really, really cool. It's like the warrior jellyfish type thing, and called Mind of Lock. I think they did a really cool job with that one, putting that armored shell on top of the jellyfish, basically. So great job there, Stellaris crew. Let's do one more. Let's do maybe this one. Sog Mind. It looks like their brain is exposed, and that's what you're seeing, is this giant brain with all the tentacles coming off the back of it. So another interesting choice by their designers here. And again, their ship type I kind of think looks kind of cool. Now we'll move on to the arthropoid. And they had some cool ones in this as well. This one's just weird. It's like you're almost like a crayfish type thing, or maybe even like the ghost shrimp I used to have in my old fish tank, that my fish used to eat, and rather than letting clean the tank. Um, and these guys, yeah, they're almost like a dragon type. The Tezu warlords. They're a bandit kingdom, which is what my kingdom ended up being labeled as, because apparently I'm not very friendly in the game. And these guys, like a giant cockroach, the Larban hive, and yeah, so it's kind of interesting showing that the cockroach style. This one's interesting here because they've got the tentacles dangling from the front there. The Rakex Galactic Kingdom. So interesting, and then we're going to move up to the Avians, where we have Xeno Trade Company, or however you pronounce their last name there, but they just look like these like vulture types. Like they peck you apart and destroy you. So great job there. And then this one here, not a big fan of the jaw, but I love the top, the peacock spread on top. Really looked cool. I'd love if they'd done more bright colors there and maybe made those peacock feathers bigger. And this one here is another one, the Union. That's kind of cool. The way they made them look, again, more like a dragon type in terms of their look. And then we get into Reptilian. I'm going to fly through these because we're running low on time here. The Kalinoan state, they've just got, again, that kind of like beak head almost, very, very lizard-like. This one I thought was really cool. They did really, really awesome work on the colors in the scheme of the Holy Illusion Explorers. Absolutely love the design on that. Fantastic work by the creators. This is Mammalian, so again, very similar to one of those in the Reptilian where there that I showed, but I love the feather work that they did on top. And these guys are kind of cool too. They've got the wings, and almost like flying monkeys off of The Wizard of Oz. That is what they remind me of. These guys I love. That lion cougar cross. And I just thought that they looked really cool. I am against them in my one that I'm playing right now as well. Then there's the machines. Again, not a big fan of the machines. This one's kind of an interesting machine, like a floating octopus. And I could picture octopus being smart, but I maybe would have put them with the sea life and not pictured them as a machine. But then there's these guys. This one's cool. I mean, it looks like it floats, and it's got the broader shoulders there. And then we get into the humanoids. Not as big a fan of humanoids, but there is some that are cool. This one here, this looks like that tough, like gruff one. I would not want to mess with the Utopian Imeri Rixona, and they've got one, the Gark, which look almost identical to them. This was another one that was kind of cool. I like the colors they chose on the Tadassian peacekeepers, and then we will. Oh, and then they go and they mix some of them here from the different expansions you can get. So they've got some of them that are all mixed up rather than actually where they maybe should be, like this molluscoid one here, and Killick Cooperative, again, should have been down below if they were organizing them properly. But those are some of the races that I chose to highlight that I thought were kind of cool. So hope you've enjoyed this. Next I'll show starting a new campaign with some of the expansions that I have chosen to select. So that will be the next movie or video. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And those who watched the live stream, thanks. Hope you've enjoyed this.